But first, our top focus tonight. The controversial preacher of Islam, Dr. Zakir Naik, is on the Home Ministry's radar for his speeches. This after reports emerged that 2 of the 7 Dhaka Jihadis were his followers. They were inspired by what agencies now describe as his radical views. But Dr. Zakir Naik wasn't just an inspiration for the Dhaka terrorists. He was an inspiration also for the 2006 Mumbai train bombers as well as the Hyderabad Islamic module chief. So what should really be done with Zakir Naik? It's our top focus tonight.
Every Muslim should be a terrorist.
This is the man, the terror evangelist inspiring terrorists in the subcontinent. Earlier, India Today revealed the influence he peddled with the Dhaka terrorists. Now, it's emerging that the vitriolic preacher inspired the Hyderabad Jihadis as well. According to highly placed sources, Chief of the Hyderabad module, Ibrahim Yazdani, was deeply influenced by the virulent preacher. These speeches from long ago had reportedly inspired Yazdani to take the path of terror. Sources say Ibrahim even attended Naik's 10-day-long camp as a volunteer in 2010. In Dhaka, it was the same televangelist who inspired the young jihadis who massacred 20 at the Dhaka's Holy Artisan Bakery. One of the Dhaka terrorists, Rohan Imtiaz, apparently shared one of Naik's speeches on his Facebook page. The revelations have led to a massive uproar against the preacher in India and in Bangladesh, both countries where Zakir Naik has a massive following.
और इनके इदारों को बंद करें, क्योंकि इनके इदारे जब तक चलते रहेंगे, ये लोगों के जहनों को ख़राब करते रहेंगे. लिहाजा ये डॉक्टर नाइक को यहाँ पर बैंड किया जाए.
It should be proactive decision of the government. Government should come proactively ahead of it. We should ban these people. What sort of Islamic thoughts are there?
But I can tell you that we are not lying low. Government is very alert and government will take action whatever is necessary.
Zakir Naik's speeches are banned in many countries including UK and Canada, but not in India where he continues to be extremely popular yet controversial. Even a country like Bangladesh where attack has taken place is contemplating a ban on him. However, even though there is a link of Hyderabad chief of ISIS module having a link with him, there has not even been a questioning of the controversial leader, perhaps because there is not much evidence. But if there is a request which comes in from Bangladesh, that could perhaps make things easier for the government of India. With camera person Sanjeev, this is Kamaljeet Sandhu in Delhi for India Today.
Should Zakir Naik be banned is the big question that I want to raise at the very top. Should Zakir Naik be banned is the question we should be raising. Joining me now right away is Ratan Sarda. He's someone who is close to the RSS, author Secrets of the RSS. Let me get your view on that. Do you believe that Zakir Naik should be banned? Will banning Zakir Naik actually end in any way this web of terror, or will he become some kind of a martyr in the cause if the Indian government chooses to ban him?
Rajdeep, these type of people should be prosecuted, not banned. If you listen to speeches, I have gone to some of the speeches. He is a person who has good memory but very poor presentation of religious discourse. He misquotes Bible, he misquotes Vedas, he misquotes Gita. He misguides people. He is a hardcore Salafist Wahhabi, and that is what is spreading. He justifies terror, he justifies suicide attacks. So this person needs to be prosecuted. Why for so many years there has been quiet? That is the issue. Today when Bangladesh is facing a dire threat to its own integrity by this Islamist terrorists, now we are waking up to his danger. He is the person who was going on walk the talk with your senior journalists. He was being eulogized by film stars. Didn't they hear him? So you have people, opinion makers, who have not done the homework. Then he is brought to media. He gets the highlight. Today we are complaining about him. So we should look inwards first before we speak of what he's speaking. He's doing that for years.
Let's be clear. You're saying he should be prosecuted. Let me be clear. On what specific IPC code do you believe a Zakir Naik should be prosecuted? Because if it comes to inflammatory speeches, we know that there are people from all communities who resort to inflammatory speeches. Are we saying that Zakir Naik should be singled out and made an example of?
Rajdeep, he is the only person who insults all the gods of various religions and gets away with it. He is the person who justifies non-vegetarian in the name of Islam, who ridicules vegetarianism, he ridicules Ganesha, Shiva. This kind of language is not used by any other preacher, so-called preacher in India. There can be differences, there can be comparison. What kind of comparative religion he is teaching? He is putting all the wrong things. He quotes Vedas to justify Muhammad, then he says Vedas are revealed. He says that you should go and attack non-believers, and then he says that I am spreading peace, and he calls his TV Peace TV. If you find anybody spreading poison, be prosecuted that name also. It doesn't matter whether it's Christian or Hindu.
Okay.
Let him be prosecuted, whether it's Hindu or Christian. But he has got a whole history of years of his poison.
Can I bring in, just a minute, sir. Just a minute.
Listen to YouTube speeches, you will realize.
Just a minute. Let me bring in Javed Anand, someone who's been writing.
Fatwas are against by Deoband.
1 minute, Mr. Sardar.
The most radical Islamists, they are, yes.
Let's hear other views also. Mr. Javed Anand is joining me at the moment, someone who's been writing extensively on the issue of radicalization of Islam. Javed, your perspective, do you believe that someone like Zakir Naik should be allowed to carry on with a peace channel at a time when he says effectively justifies suicide bombings in some circumstances is acceptable in Islam? Should such a person be allowed to have the oxygen of publicity?
Well, Rajiv, Zakir Naik is a seriously problematic person. As the other gentleman who was just speaking was saying, he is down other religions. He kind of treats the followers of other religions as if they do not know their Hinduism, they do not know their Christianity, they do not know their Buddhism. He knows everything. And in the process, effectively, it ends up kind of creating either pity or contempt or hatred for fellow human beings among certain section of Muslims.
You know, let's be clear, but do you believe that banning him is the solution? That if Zakir Naik is banned or prosecuted, Ratan Sarda is saying go a step further, prosecute him. If he is to be banned, in the age of social media, he will find a way to get onto YouTube. So I'm wondering whether banning him is the answer, or is the answer, as is being suggested by Ratan Sarda, to prosecute someone like this for spreading communal hatred?
I would strongly suggest exploring the possibility of prosecuting him. This man has a very smooth style of functioning, so whether the evidence there is prosecutable or not, he should be, every possibility should be explored for prosecuting him. If that proves to be a problem, he should certainly be exposed through every possible platform.
Let me bring you in. You know, let's be clear. The law of the land, section 153A and B, Ratan Sarda clearly says, under the Indian Penal Code, that spreading communal hatred through inflammatory speeches is prosecutable. Now, we've seen in the past in this country, people have not been acted against. Do you believe, therefore, that the beginning has to be made, that the state has been much too lax in this regard? You said, interestingly, whether Hindu, Christian or Muslim. But in Zakir Naik's case, the problem is it is also being linked to the manner in which he seems to be almost becoming a hero for people in Bangladesh, for Islamic radicals in other parts of the world.
I have heard him boasting about his followers. I have seen him speak, and as I told you, he misquotes various scriptures to prove his point, because people are ignorant. They lap it up, and that is how the poison spreads. Has he not talked about suicide attacks? He has refused to call Osama bin Laden as a terrorist. He keeps on skirting the issue. On the show, I think one of our own shows, earlier shows, he has said that. And why should he be given oxygen's publicity? He should simply be prosecuted. He can be handed over to Bangladesh for all I care.
Javed Anand, if today he is prosecuted, will there be widespread support for him, or do you believe that this support is exaggerated within the Muslim community? It is time to call the bluff of the likes of Zakir Naik.
One thing is for certain, Rajiv, there's a whole section of Indian Muslims running into millions, and I'm not talking Shias as an entire community. The whole kind of Sunni Barelvi school are staunchly opposed to him. They dislike him intensely for what he stands for, and especially given the context of ISIS and Al-Qaeda, and they talk about what they're doing in Bangladesh, what they apparently are trying to do in India, and all that. There's a widespread disgust with the kind of preaching that he's been doing. So I think while he might have some support, there'll be a solid amount of support for his prosecution.
There'll be a solid amount of support within the Muslim community if Zakir Naik is prosecuted, is what Javed Anand seems to suggest. Hopefully that's a message that will now register. Clearly the law of the land must be supreme. It cannot be that someone is allowed to get away with inflammatory speeches, the kind which are promoting terror in different parts of the country. Yes, you have 20 seconds. Very quickly, Mr. Sarda.
Yeah, even Deoband has released at least 10 fatwas against him. It is not just Shias. Even Sunnis hate him. So
okay,
basically,
your point is well taken. I think that point, the point is reflecting what Javed Anand is saying.
It's against all the religions.
I take your point. I think it's very clear there can be no options here. If Zakir Naik is going to promote terror, he must be acted against, even though he may couch it as peace TV. Peace TV does not justify suicide bombings in any circumstances. Thanks very much for joining us, Ratan Sarda and Javed Anand. Meanwhile, remember, tomorrow is Eid across the country, but there is the spectre of terror which in recent weeks has marred the celebrations. Today in Jammu and Kashmir, with separatists and their supporters waving Pakistan flags, there was stone pelting on the security forces. This despite the fact that the Mehbooba Mufti government in the state has decided to grant amnesty to 643 people accused of stone pelting. Shujaul Haq now reports.
A chilling Eid warning by the Lashkar-e-Taiba in the valley. Residents of South Kashmir be warned. The terror commanders are watching. The jihadis of Lashkar and Hizbul Mujahideen are waiting to spill blood. Follow the new terror diktat or get ready to be shot dead. Warning posters have surfaced outside mosques in South Kashmir, warning women, contractors and any police or army informers. The posters categorically warn police and army informers against squealing on the Lashkar and Hizbul Jihadis or their movements in the valley. The posters also warn women against attending army or police training camps and has ordered contractors to stay away from any army work. Lashkar has made it clear that anyone transgressing their ultimatum will be shot dead without any warning, and also seeks information on the activities of the informers. The imprint of Hizbul commander Burhan Wani is clear on the latest terror posters. Just last month, Wani had issued a video warning to security forces in the valley to stay inside police camps or else get ready to die. Another video showed the terror boss playing cricket, proving just with how much impunity terrorists are roaming in South Kashmir without any fear of the law. Burhan minces no words when he proclaims that the Indian army is Hizbul's prime enemy, warning cops not to target militants and exhorting Valley's youth to join Hizbul Mujahideen's brand of jihad. The latest terror warning is further proof of how brazen the jihadis are getting.
The police has started investigating this matter. They're saying that they are verifying and ascertaining the facts about this issue and are trying to figure out who were the people behind pasting these.
That story coming in from Jammu and Kashmir. When I return, my other big focus tonight and the day's top stories. Mara's top story tonight. Day after one of the biggest shake-ups in the Narendra Modi government, all eyes were on Smriti Irani. The ousted HRD minister took over as the country's textile minister. Her replacement, Prakash Javadekar, starting his day with meeting his predecessor and downplaying the controversy. It's our top story tonight.
A day after the biggest promotion of his life, new HRD minister Prakash Javadekar started off with a meeting with his predecessor. A meeting with former HRD minister Smriti Irani, now shunted out to a low-profile textile ministry.
We are all committed to do some good work when the opportunity we have got, people have given us. And therefore, we will do our best with consultation of all.
After her high-voltage stint at the HRD ministry, marked by numerous raging controversies, a much sober Smriti thanked the Prime Minister for her new role.
I am happy that I've been given this opportunity, especially when a special package has been announced for the sector. This signifies that my party, and especially the Prime Minister, has faith that I have the capacity to implement the roadmap that was projected through the cabinet to the rest of the country.
Her detractors, however, saw no real change.
आने वाले चुनावों के मद्देनज़र ये तब्दीलियां की गई हैं और हमारा एक सीधा सवाल है कि किसी भी इंसान को एक मंत्रालय से हटाकर दूसरे मंत्रालय का मंत्री बना देने से न्याय सुनिश्चित नहीं होता।
While the relatively low-profile Javadekar grapples with education portfolio, Smriti may now be inducted as a key player for BJP's must-win UP polls gamble. With a clear message from Narendra Modi on performance, the new minister have pledged to fulfill the PM's growth and governance agenda.
इकोनॉमिक ग्रोथ इस कंट्री की जो 7.9 है उसको हम डबल डिजिट में ले जाना चाहते हैं, ये हमारे लिए चैलेंज है।
All the priorities will be finalized after understanding the subject.
Opposition has, however, explained the big cabinet revamp as just a vote-gathering exercise.
जातिवाद पे क्षेत्रवाद के हिसाब से मंत्रिमंडल बना है।
But halfway into his term, PM Modi with this mammoth exercise wants to convey that performance of ministers remains paramount. With Brajesh Pandey in Delhi, Bureau Report, India Today.
From textbooks to textiles, Smriti Irani's political journey has been a controversial one when she was in charge of the Education Ministry. Let's take a look at just why she went from one controversy to another.
The biggest surprise in Prime Minister Narendra Modi's cabinet reshuffle. Smriti Irani, one of the most controversial ministers in Team Modi, dropped as the HRD minister and moved to the low-profile Textiles Ministry. Smriti's loss turned out to be a big gain for Prakash Javadekar, who took over HRD ministry. Surprisingly, PM had defended the former TV actress amid controversies that clearly divided the nation. No one had even got a hint of what lay ahead. Smriti's 2-year tenure in HRD was replete with controversies.
मैं अपने कर्तव्य का पालन कर रही थी और मुझे आज सूली पर चढ़ाने का प्रयास कर रहे हैं.
Smriti, who lost elections to Congress scion Rahul Gandhi, was under immense attack after Dalit scholar Rohit Vemula snuffed out his life citing pressure from the right-wing groups. Then came the sedition row involving JNU students. Her educational qualifications remain under the scrutiny since she took charge. Smriti was also in the thick of storm after she recommended the sacking of 2 Central University VCs. She also drew flack for the move to wrench powers from the IIM administrators. Even the decisions to introduce Sanskrit in IITs and explore the possibility of separate canteens for vegetarians triggered massive row. Now the Prime Minister has entrusted Prakash Javadekar with the key HRD portfolio, whose proactive role in the climate change talks in Paris advanced India's prospects in the world order. His initiatives in Environment Ministry ensured rupees 10 lakh crore investment and a mega job bonanza. Behind the move is Prime Minister's interest to bring in a doer and performer in the HRD, than somebody who is incessantly involved in controversies. Despite the demotion, the corridors of power are abuzz that Smriti Irani may land a key role in Uttar Pradesh polls, where stakes are high for the BJP.
एडमिशन कराना होता है बहन जी, आप ही लिखकर मुझे देती हैं और मैं करती हूँ एडमिशन.
Bureau Report, India Today.
पप्पू यादव जी का पत्र दिखा सकती हूँ रंजन जी, केंद्रीय विद्यालय में किस किस को एडमिशन चाहिए, मैंने करके दिया है कोटे के बाहर.
Smriti Irani there at her combative best, or some say worst. The big question from textbooks to textiles: did controversy cost Smriti Irani the HRD ministry? So how should one assess Smriti Irani's legacy in the HRD ministry? Joining me now, Dr. Ramachandra Guha, the country's foremost historian, joins me to give us a perspective to the Smriti Irani legacy. Dr. Guha, you've been a critic of Smriti Irani. Now that she's out, how do you look back at the 2 years when she was in charge of the HRD ministry?
Well, I think it was wisely said by one of my teachers that too much media attention is the enemy of scholarship. And too much media attention is also the enemy of being a good minister. I think Smriti Irani listened less and lectured more, which is the reason she got into all these controversies.
There will be those, of course, who will say that she was a minister at the end of the day who was extremely energetic. You cannot deny the fact that she's charismatic, and maybe she was seen as an ambitious woman in a hurry and thereby alienated people. Do you believe it is more her approach rather than her intent which led to Smriti Irani's downfall in a way?
I think what you say has a grain of truth. She's certainly very intelligent, very articulate. Perhaps because she was promoted at such a young age to such an important ministry, some of it went to her head. And she acted in excessive haste, without recognizing the complexities of the education sector in this country, without recognizing that there were some really fine world-class scholars she had to deal with and listen to. She kind of bulldozed her way through things, and that's really what got her into trouble. So you're right, that she has she's a person of great force of character, native intelligence, completely self-made, and one respects her for all of that. But she was too young and perhaps in too much of a hurry to handle such a complex ministry, which is so important to our future, Rajdeep. Knowledge, cutting-edge knowledge, technology innovation will make or mar India's future in the 21st century. And where they are in this country, some really fine academic institutions. For example, IIT and IIM directors, you don't condescend to and patronize them. You don't question their patriotism, which is what she did on more than one occasion, and expect them to, respond in a positive way. So her handling of the whole situation was counterproductive.
How will you respond to those? And I know Smriti Irani's supporters have said that there is an element of misogyny in the criticism of Smriti Irani. A woman, 38 years old, comes through a television serial, no political ancestry, and therefore ruffles so many feathers, particularly of a patriarchal setup, both in the education sector as well as in the political establishment.
No, I think, again, there is some truth in that criticism, particularly as it applies to the political sphere. For example, male politicians in other parties may have resented her for that reason. There could be some male journalists. But, I'm talking about really serious scientists. I know, for example, how she mishandled the high-quality undergraduate research program in the Indian Institute of Science, which is our finest research university. And I know the kind of scientists who worked there. I know the director who was in charge when she mishandled it, who's an extremely quiet, self-effacing man, but yet a world-class scientist. So when it comes to her treating of our top academics, I think there was no misogyny involved. When it came to her mishandling of the JNU and Hyderabad University, fiascos, where she was led by the ABVP, not even by the RSS, there was no misogyny involved. This was just misjudgments on her part. In other cases, yes, maybe in some of the Twitter exchanges with male politicians, you could see what you're talking about at work. But I think, on the whole, she was an incompetent education minister, and it's good that she's been changed.
You've used the word incompetent. There will be those who will say somewhere that this is an ideological battle, that Smriti Irani, in a sense, was part of an ideological war between, let's say, liberal public intellectuals like yourself versus Smriti Irani, who was seen to be pushing an RSS Hindutva agenda. Is there an element of that there was an intellectual, an ideological battle that she was seen to wage in an HRD ministry, which is why she attracted such criticism from liberal voices like yourself?
Rajdeep, let me tell you that the director of the Institute of Science is not an ideologist. The director of IIT Mumbai or IIT Delhi, whom she willfully offended, is not an ideologist. The director of IIM Ahmedabad and IIM Bangalore, on whom she cast aspersions, are not ideologists. They are high-quality researchers doing cutting-edge research in matters of great technological importance and to the future of our country. The knowledge economy, the economic future of our country. These are not ideologists. Forget the JNU leftists who attacked her. Forget what Kanhaiya Kumar says about her. That might be ideological. But what Dr. Kakodkar says about her is not a person who has given his entire life to building the scientific infrastructure of his country. Would you call him an ideologist? Would you call the director of the Institute of Science an ideologist? Please, let's not confuse matters. Some of her critics were patriarchal. Some of her critics were left-wing ideologists. But it's really the harm she did with her excessive interference in our high-quality scientific institutions that is the worst part of her legacy.
So you don't accept, I mean, what you seem to be suggesting, therefore, that you need a more senior person, a more mature person in a ministry like HRD, because even when UPA governments have been in power, there have been allegations of interference even there by their ministers in appointments, in education institutes. So this has been a trend within the HRD ministry. You're calling, in a sense, for a mature minister who gives true education autonomy to our institutes.
Yes, and also a minister who's willing to listen and respect scholars and scholarship. I'm glad you mentioned the UPA ministry. At various stages, it had two ministers, one cabinet minister and one junior minister from my own college, St. Stephen's, who had all the attributes of a Stephanian: articulate, eloquent, loquacious, but would listen. You know, in a different way from Smriti Irani. So you need someone who nurtures scholarship and science by listening to what people are doing in departments, in laboratories, in committees, in recruitment, how are institutions built, how can they be destroyed. These are all complex matters where the arrogance had come naturally to a politician. You know, you're in front of a podium, you won an election, and this could be true of a UPA minister too. You won by 3 lakh votes, and you're on a high, you think you can just, bulldoze your way through. I've been in meetings, which is why I don't attend government meetings anymore. I've been in meetings where there have been really fine scientists around in the last government, not just in this government, and the education minister wants to lecture them. He likes the sound of his own voice, just as Smriti Irani may like the sound of her own voice, because she appears so much on television, because she gives so many stirring and brilliant political speeches. Here you have to listen. I think Javadekar that way, at least from a personality point of view, is more suited, because I think he'll at least listen.
You know, my final question, therefore, is that is there a difference, you believe, and you can wear your soothsayer hat in a way, between a politician and a minister, between being a performing politician and an effective minister? And Smriti Irani is being seen by some people as a potential rival to Rahul Gandhi in Amethi and a potential face of the BJP in Uttar Pradesh, where she perhaps may be far more successful than she has been as an HRD minister.
Yes, as I said, when she first took over as HRD minister, Rajdeep, I was willing to give her the benefit of the doubt, because she was clearly articulate, intelligent, self-made, had courage and spunk. And those are characteristics that will serve her well in her campaign against Rahul Gandhi. And despite all the criticisms I made, which are just of her performance as HRD minister, I believe if she was to fight against Rahul Gandhi in 2019, and unlike last time with more preparation defeat him, it would be a victory of democracy over entitlement. Because she is a self-made politician with spunk and courage, who was too much of a hurry to be an effective HRD minister. But, if she is to defeat the corrupt dynastic culture of the Congress party, I think as a Democrat, who is not a BJP supporter, but as an Indian Democrat, I would welcome her. So she has a long innings in politics. She's only in her late 30s. She can reflect on what got wrong. She is young enough to course correct it. Maybe when she becomes a minister later in an important ministry, or maybe what she'll do now in textiles, she'll have the humility to listen and understand before proclaiming judgment.
It's interesting that you're saying that you actually believe that if Smriti Irani defeats Rahul Gandhi in 2019, should there be a contest in Amethi, it'll be a victory of democracy over entitlement. Clearly, Ramachandra Guha, that's a statement that will set the cat among the pigeons in a way. Thank you very much for joining us and giving us a sense of what you think was Smriti Irani's legacy to the HRD ministry. Thanks very much. Ram Guha there assessing Smriti Irani's legacy. Let's turn.